so tired. Well, head's got to be straight. Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 263 of the All Dolphins podcast on this Wednesday, April 10th. That's Omar. Why are you shaking your head, Omar?
Because that was painful, but it is what it is. Thank you.
You're going to tell people about our behind-the-scenes drama here.
All your clickety-clickety and talkity-talkity before we start. But yes, hello, good morning. How are you, folks? Or good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Podcast.
No, dude, I had to look at my reference site to find some number 63 for the Dolphins as far as being picked in the draft. And I came up with 3 of them for our history lesson, two of whom are very interesting. First one was a running back by the name of Eugene Morris in 1968, I want to say.
I don't know no Eugene.
Who do you know? You might know him better.
Mercury Morris.
There you go. That's who it was. West Texas A&M, part of the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids backfield, I want to say, with Larry Zonka and Jim Kick.
They had a name?
They did. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids.
I'm serious. That's news to me. I had no idea. Who was Butch Cassidy?
I think that was their nickname. I'm pretty sure that was their nickname. There was also an NFL Network documentary on them. It was called The Perfect Backfield. And Morris was a speed guy. Zonko was the bulldozer, and Jim Kick was the do-everything guy. And It was a great backfield because you had 3 guys. And I think in the 72 season, the perfect season, Zonko rushed for over 1,000 yards. Mercury Morris, if I remember correctly, also rushed for 1,000 yards. And Jim Kick was at 500 and also caught passes out of the backfield. So that's the best backfield in Dolphins.
Here's a question I had for you because we all know how Mercury Morris thinks he's very good in his mind. He was very good. I know he was very good. Did he ever get the opportunity to be the featured back in any NFL backfield?
I think he did with the Dolphins once Zonka, Kick, and Paul Warfield went to the World Football League in 1974.
Okay.
So I believe he was the featured back. Dolphins did make the playoffs that year, lost in that playoff game, that famous Sea of Hands game against the Oakland Raiders. With that touchdown pass from Ken Stabler to Clarence Davis in the final seconds. Crazy game. And then the other number 63 overall pick by the Dolphins, and again, it corresponds to the final 2 numbers of our episode number, is
74. No, that has Zonk in it. So maybe
75.
75. 75, and he only rushed for 875 yards on 219 carries. But some guy named Nottingham, which I don't know who he is, scored 12 touchdowns.
Fullback named Don Nottingham, who was built like a bowling ball.
Okay.
So he was the bruiser who got all the short yardage touchdowns. Anyway, the other 63rd overall pick of mention for the Dolphins is a guy you know and love, was drafted in 2014. The bottom of the second round, it was a wide receiver from LSU who you would love to see return to the Dolphins.
I would love to see him return to the NFL. Let me correct that statement.
Okay.
I do think that he is a perfect fit for the Miami Dolphins in terms of what they need, as long as he can be some semblance of what he was in the NFL, despite being out of the league for a year. Odell Beckham was out of the league for a year, and he came back, and he had a pretty productive season. They're the same age. I don't think Dolphins fans understand that they're literally the same age, same level of play, and why do you think that signing Odell Beckham is going to be the answer? And then Jarvis Landry, he's over the hill. He's washed up. Like, there are a lot of reasons why guys don't play in the NFL, don't get jobs. I could tell you factually basis, Jarvis Landry's problem isn't he's washed up. It's that he thinks he's better than he is, even though I'm not saying that he's not as good as he thinks he is. And a lot of teams just don't want to deal with when you're a dog. The positives of being a dog is that they're very scary and they might bite you, and literally that's what makes them a dog. The problem is when you get a dog and you're the owner, you're worried about the dog biting you. Now, everybody wants the dog because it prevents people from coming into your yard, but then when the dog has a habit of biting you, then you don't necessarily want the dog. And I think people are worried that Jarvis is at the bite owner stage of dog. You following me on that one?
Yeah. The other way I would phrase it is teams, coaches, organizations will put up with players who can be a bit of a headache if they're good enough to justify it. Then it becomes you balance the two things out, and it becomes more headache than production and the value he brings to the team. Then it's not worth it.
Correct. Yes.
And that's what
does not mean that they cannot play. It just means that might bite owner. And that makes teams a little bit queasy depending on who the coach is. If the coach is scared of his own shadow, or if the coach, and I don't think Mike McDaniel's a coach is scared of his own shadow. And I think he knows how to handle people. I think if his number one trait as an owner, as a coach, is he knows how to handle people, and he knows how to manage situations, and he knows how to manage egos. My argument on the Jarvis Landry situation, which, it's quite controversial, and people, but people know who me. They know if I believe something and I say something, I stand on it. My argument regarding the Jarvis Landry situation is Mike McDaniel can handle it. Jarvis is the perfect fit. And answer this question. Flat out, just answer the question. Sight unseen, do you think Jarvis Landry is better than Braxton Berrios and River Craycraft? Sight unseen.
I can't do sight unseen because I don't know what kind of physical condition he's in. If he's right physically, yes, he's better than that.
Okay. So why not offer him a minimum contract and see if he's right, and treat him like you did Mohamed Sanu? I
have said all along that there's no reason for the Dolphins not to bring in him to see what he looks like. However, I'm going to push back on one thing because you keep saying great fit, great fit, great fit, great fit. I think we both can agree that the Dolphin offense is built on speed, speed, and speed.
Mm-hmm.
There are no slow guys on that team.
You need something other than speed, though. Give me.
But that's what
in a pitching rotation. Do you have all right-handers that throw heat, or sometimes do you need a left-handed guy that throws a curveball?
That's not the same thing.
How is it not?
Because your game plan, your game change, it's a different game from day to day with a different starting pitcher. So you don't have to have 5 Randy Johnsons. You can mix in Randy Johnson one day, and then the next day you have Greg Maddux, who's going to paint every corner and change speeds and never throw a ball. I mean, that's completely different.
You do not need different tools in your toolbox for different jobs.
Ideally, accept the MO of the player the Dolphins like on offense. Look at the offseason acquisitions.
I get it.
It's Jonnu Smith, who's fast for a tight end. It's Aaron Brewer, who's got great mobility, who's about as athletic a center as there is. Those are your main acquisitions on offense.
That's cute. Now tell me how it benefits you in the red zone and in goal line and in short yardage.
And this is where I'm not saying I am playing. I'm just telling you what the Dolphins have done. And I agree with you. And this is why I have my concerns again, although, and I'm going to touch on this, and we're going to start getting into some like Dolphins Today stuff. Although everything is going to be solved, though, apparently, because Tua is working on a new throwing motion and he's got more torque.
Would take that low-hanging fruit. And
we have to mention it because it's out there, and it's like, oh my God. And with all due respect to all the people involved, and I know some people are going to come at me with this, did we not do this last off season? Oh, wait a second. Did we not do this 2 off seasons ago? I mean, he's throwing passes in the off season. And maybe he's tweaking some things. This notion of all of a sudden, now he's going to add this to his game, and all of a sudden, boom, next level, here we come.
It's going to fix all of our problems, and it's going to make him a dynamic passer. I am going to read out when I did address it I was accused of clickbaiting by my response. And you of all people, considering clickbaiting would benefit us, and I don't do clickbaiting. It's not my thing. You wish that it was, because it's low-hanging fruit. My response to a video that people put together, and I'm very proud of some guy named Macho who put together off-season film of Tua throwing motion in 2023 and then put it next to off-season film of Tua throwing motion in 2024. Now, mind you, just hear me out, because that's what you do, even though I don't hear you out. Mind you,
I had no idea what that meant, but
I was
okay.
wondering when you were going to get that one. Mind you, me and you, we have seen Tua maybe throw 2, 3, 4,000 more passes than the average fan.
Yep.
Because we watch practice, so we've seen him throw passes nonstop. The throwing motion in the new video looks absolutely no different than the throwing motion that I've seen probably 7,000 times. Now, okay, you could obsess about the new throwing motion and all the work that House and Beck are doing, revolutionizing Tua's hip movement. Nick Hicks responded to the post that I put up, which basically was, you folks are really going overboard on this. Show me his mechanics when he's got a 260-pound pass rusher 2 steps away. Because as me and you both know, changes when you're about to be leveled and all that perfect to hip and throw in motion. Now, it matters. It matters. It helps. But when everything's perfect, it matters. Show me what happens when things are not perfect. And Nick Hicks, who I've got a great deal of respect for, what is his title? Owner and Director of Performance for Perform, to his trainer, as everybody knows, to his bulldog. This will actually allow him to deliver a better ball in those instances. The hip is the trigger, which we've always known. The hip has always been the trigger of a guy's velocity, not the arm, the hip. The ball will be out quicker and even on a frozen rope. Okay? Now, I cannot dispute that statement. I can't.
Can I put it? Can I put a more simple way than this mumbo jumbo like this? For the past 4 years, when Tua has the chance to set his feet, there is no issue with the way he throws the ball, other than lacking an ideal arm. Again, by NFL standards, when he can set his feet, he can throw most passes, and yes, he can complete deep passes. Here and to your point, and if he's got a 260-yard pass rusher two strides away, Tua in 4 years has never at that time. There are certain quarterbacks who have the ability to do this, and they are rare, who will have a guy bearing down on them, who will go through their motion the exact same way, plant their back foot, step into the throw, make the throw, and then, okay, go ahead and ram into me. And for all his warts, Ryan Tannehill, props to him.
He was a
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me
he never saw the guy coming. Anyway. See, I got you. He did it because he never had any feel for the pocket presence that somebody was coming. Go ahead.
Again,
got you.
Very good. But those are rare. Okay, because invariably the human instincts is to like brace a little bit and then the mechanics
step into the throw.
Correct. And then he becomes about this. And then sorry, Tua can throw a zillion passes in the offseason. The arm strength is going to be limited forever and ever. Okay, and this is not it's not me being because right now a lot of the comments, because yes, we do read the comments. A lot of them are like, all we do is be negative. All we do is dump on the team and all that. We're trying to be realistic. And this is like, I'm going to say this again for effect. When Tua can set his feet, he throws a beautiful ball and there's no issues there. But let's stop with the overreaction of like, wow, look at the throwing motion in the offseason. More torque, the hips working into it, and he's going to get so much more zip on the ball.
Generally,
those words were, one last thing. Those words verbatim were said last offseason.
Generally, when he gets himself into trouble, it's because he did not step into the throw.
Correct.
And sometimes he can't. That's just part of the game. He does not have the Josh Allen arm. So it is what it is. But, the one thing that I will say, and I think part of the reason why I've always been a Tua believer and a Tua advocate, is no matter what it is, if you tell Tua that it's going to make your game 2% better, he's going to do it. That's just how he's wired. So you're going to get every single ounce of what?
I mean, again, no offense, but isn't that any NFL player's job? If you're looking to improve every offseason, of course.
It is, but how many do it? Give me the percentage of guys that do it.
Of NFL starting quarterbacks?
Of NFL players.
But again, we're talking a quarterback who's always
Kyler Murray.
Again, I'm going to go 90 to 95%. I can't speak for Kyler Murray.
I will go 70%.
Okay.
But yes, but best of luck to Tua. I know this is a big weekend for his foundation. I'm not going. I'm not invited, but that's fine. This is a big weekend for Tua and Tua's foundation. I'm very proud of him for what he did, taking it to Hawaii and having his first camp in Hawaii. Tua is big in the Polynesian community, and we all know that. Tuanon is massive, and Tua has islands and whole state support. So we know where our readership comes from. I could actually be able to tell where the podcast listeners come from, and a large percentage of it is coming from Hawaii, the island
and Montreal,
and Montreal. So props to him for his foundation and the work that they're doing, and he is truly this generation's Polynesian inspiration for a player that made it to the mainland and is making it big. And we want to continue to support him and show him love for that. And good work this weekend on the foundation work. Mom runs the foundation, so we know Mama Tua is doing her thing.
Mama Tua, I like that.
Yeah, Mama Tua, and I love the tattoo, the new arm. Did you check out the new arm tattoo? No,
sorry, not my thing.
You're not into tattoos? What? I need more work done. I need some more work done. I like tattoos are cool, man. It's body art.
More power to you.
All right. Okay.
Not my thing. I'm a completely bare bones natural dude. I don't wear jewelry. I had one brief period of my life when I wore a watch, and that don't wear a chain.
But you don't even wear a watch?
Mm-mm. Yeah, this is my watch.
It's most people's watch. I'm a watch guy. You'll rarely ever see me without a watch, and this is just my Apple Watch.
It's all cool. Hey, it's just different strokes for different folks.
Yes.
Okay, let's dive into the main focus of this episode. What was to be the main focus? Omar wrote a story for si.com/Dolphins/NFL about 5 free agents still on the market who could go a long way toward helping the Dolphins leapfrog the Buffalo Bills and finally mercifully win the AFC East title, something that has not happened since 2008. Omar, you want to go ahead and we want all of you to read the story. So I don't know if we should give out all 5 names, but
yes, absolutely. I don't know how I feel about giving out all 5 names, but let me allow for those who have made it this far into the episode, and we thank you for actually listening, even if you listen for 5 minutes. I went combed through the list of free agents that are still out there, and there are a lot of players that can help this team, a lot. But I just picked 5 that I really feel like if you sign them, you get them under contract, they could take this team great lengths. And one of them, I do believe, and I do hear, still wants to play, would love it if Miami were in the mix. He's not going to be a cheap player, but he's certainly not going to be a Christian Wilkins expensive level player. But the first player on my list is 37-year-old Calais Campbell. And you might say to yourself, why would you want to sign one of the oldest players in the NFL? And my argument to you is watch what he did last year with the Atlanta Falcons. 42 pressures, 6.5 sacks, 10.8% pressure rate, ridiculous statistics. He is a defensive tackle that can play the end position, especially in a Anthony Weaver-esque scheme. Weaver has history with him. And I would say he's probably not going to play for less than $6 million, just knowing Calais. Calais is about his money.
Don't negotiate for him. Sorry.
Last year, he made 7.5 as a 36-year-old with the Atlanta Falcons. Calais probably is looking to latch on to a contender because I don't believe that he's won a championship. And, Miami is contender-ish. I don't necessarily view them as a front runner to be a contender. But then again, keep in mind, he signed with the Atlanta Falcons and everybody knew they weren't going anywhere last year. I think that was a situation where they had to sweeten that deal just to get him over the finish line. So Calais Campbell can help you ease the loss of Christian Wilkins. I'm not saying that he's going to replace Christian Wilkins, but he can certainly help you ease the loss of Christian Wilkins. And the biggest thing about Calais Campbell is he is not only a dog, but he's a leader. And he can help lead that locker room. The presence that you have from Teron Armstead on the offensive side, Calais would be that stabilizing presence on the defensive side and can help corral things when things go a little haywire. And he doesn't need to be there for 5 years in a franchise before he steps up and becomes vocal. Calais walks in the door and he's a vocal leader. So that's one of the reasons why I'm a big advocate for Calais Campbell. I don't know how you feel, but personally feel Tierre Tart, Deshaun Hand, Benito Jones, Jonathan Harris, Neville Gallimore, Davion Dick Nixon, and Isaiah Mack. I don't know if that's enough. Now, if I did not address my defensive tackle spot at 21, I do not have any hope, conviction, belief that I'm going to address it later in the draft with a player of quality that can come in and be a starter. What I'm telling you is right now, you sign Calais Campbell. He is your starter next to Zach Sealer.
Yeah, I guess you didn't see me do this when you first started about Calais Campbell. I mean, I have been a huge fan of this dude, and that's not just because he played at UM, and I like UM. Covered UM way back in the day.
When I was in diapers, right?
I don't even know if you were born yet.
What year was that? What year did you cover UM?
I was a backup beat guy in the
late
85, 86, 87, 88.
I was in elementary school.
Okay.
Went to my first athletic event to watch Steve Walsh quarterback at the University of Miami.
There you go.
Got scared of the bathroom because why were there urinals? What is this thing? Imagine a 7-year-old seeing that. Like, pee is everywhere. There's troughs. Like, what do you want me to do with that?
I was there for one of Jimmy Johnson's lowest points as a head coach and one of his greatest moments, and that was the Fiesta Bowl they lost against Penn State, which may have been the best UM team I've ever seen. It was absurd, and it was absurd. But even possibly better than 2001. Yes, possibly better. Again, you're not old enough to remember it.
Okay,
do some research and come back to me. And then
how many pros were on that team? Because I believe they're like 30 on.
I can't count that high. And then in 1987 draft, 3 of the first 8 picks were Canes. Benny Testaverde, Jerome Brown, and Alonzo Highsmith. And then they came back the following year, minus those guys, with said Steve Walsh, and beat Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl 20-14. And there's a great shot of Jimmy Johnson. And in fact, you will see my byline if you ever watch the 30 for 30, you will see my byline from the Miami News when they're talking about the Miami Notre Dame rivalry.
Convicts versus criminals.
No, that was 88.
88.
That was 88. My byline was from the year before it was a year before or 2 years before they stomped the Fighting Irish 58-7 in what became Jerry Faust, Coach Jerry Faust's last game as Notre Dame head coach. The Catholic were count. This was a game in the 88 when Cleveland Gary didn't fumble. Canes got screwed by a bad call and Notre Dame. Anyway.
Well, if they had replayed, maybe they wouldn't get screwed, Mr. Anti-Replay.
Yeah, and they still be playing that game.
You're probably right.
How did we get to that? Oh, Calais Campbell. No. And there's something else you didn't mention, along with everything you mentioned. Got some pass rushing ability. He's a lane clogger as a run defender. Off the charts leadership abilities. Also very good at blocking kicks. Again, make the money work. And absolutely, I would love that signing. Let's do this real quickly. Instead of going through your list, it's a better way. That way, everybody check out Omar's list, si.com/NFL/Dolphins. I'm going to go through the list of big names, and quickly we can say yay or nay as far as Dolphin possibility. How does that sound to you?
That works for me.
Okay. Quarterback Ryan Tannehill. I have to mention he's on the list.
Depends on the price.
Really?
Ryan Tannehill would kick Mike White's butt. I don't know if he would fit into this offense, but, put a brick wall in front of him. He's pretty all right. So, no, I'd say no.
Yeah, except I'm not sure that.
You telling me you wouldn't take Ryan Tannehill for $4 million over Mike White?
No. Again, what does the offense require from its quarterbacks?
Accuracy, timing.
Quick decisions.
Is
that Ryan Tannehill for you?
He's played double digits in the NFL. By now,
I understand. Okay.
He's gotten faster. Come on.
I say no.
Okay.
Left tackle David Bakhtiari, Green Bay Packers.
You got your man with Kendall Lamb and Teron Armstead. So no.
He still wants to play, and he's had like major injury issues. I agree. Jamal Adams, the president, Seattle Seahawks safety.
I actually do have some level of intrigue there. I mean, you are so thirsty at safety as a team. You've got 3 now. Mind you, this is a great safety draft. I'm gonna sign one. I'm gonna draft one and sign one. Knowing the Dolphins' history, the signed one will be better than the one they drafted. Yeah, I said it, and I mean every single word of it. I am actually a big advocate of Kitchens. I'm a big believer in him. And I would use my second round pick on Kitchens, the university. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. What are you looking at me like that for?
Yeah, no, because again, draft analysts
not a need.
Correct, but draft analysts who study this stuff a lot more than I do don't have him in the second round range or remotely close. And for me, my one thing that will always, and it's one play, and it's lame of me, and it's lame of me to downgrade him so much for that. But the lack of awareness he showed at the end of the Georgia Tech game when he let a wide receiver on the last game score or lose play get behind him, to me, was mind-boggling. If you're a safety, I mean, wow.
I see elite level. I draft guys where I wonder if I'm going to have to give them a max contract when they get to their second contract, and that's Kitchens. He's got playmaker written all over him. So that's what I want to add to the Dolphins. Playmakers, people who are playmakers.
Of course, somebody might suggest, not me, mind you, I would never say that about you, but some people might suggest that you're just saying that because he's a UM dude.
I don't like plenty of UM players. They'll tell you that personally. I do like it. I wouldn't tell you to draft another UM player on the team, but I would tell you to draft Kitchens. Okay. Like the center, the defensive tackle. Like, nah, I'm good. But Kitchens,
I like the center. Matt Lee, I like the center.
Sign me up.
Cornerback J.C. Jackson.
I was initially going to make my list longer and include him. A lot of people don't know this, and this is something that I'm going to actually share for the first time on alldolphins.com. But when J.C. Jackson signed with the Chargers, the Dolphins were bidding and in the running. Even though they didn't really need a cornerback, they were bidding and in the running, and I believe they were going to dump Byron Jones. So it was so if they had a level of interest then, why wouldn't they have a level of interest now?
Because he has sucked since he left for the Chargers, and he also suffered a catastrophic knee injury.
And he's hold on, he's got a knee injury right now?
No, but he had a really, really bad knee injury in his first year with the Chargers. And then he came back last year, and he was really bad, as we saw in the opener when Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, he is not a zone. He is not a zone cornerback, and I do believe that they're going to still continue to be playing a zone scheme. We don't know that for certain, so let me not actually. We'll learn. We'll be able to tell you a little bit more when we see rookie camp. Not rookie camp.
Maybe depending on how much they show. And this is where, again, because when Anthony Weaver did his introductory press conference, we asked him what kind of defense he wanted to play. And shock of all shocks, the answer was we want to be multiple.
Yeah.
So we really don't have a gauge. He was on.
Yeah. Brian Flores was multiple too. How often did he play zone?
Exactly. But I'm sure this press conference was like, "Yeah, we want to be multiple. We're going to do a lot." They generally don't want to tell you. I think Vic might have told us last year that we're going to play it mostly.
Absolutely.
Because Vic don't care. Next name on the list. This is NFL wide list. It includes Emmanuel Ogbah.
And Xavier Howard.
No, correct, but he's on. I'm looking down on the list here, and no technique. Well, yeah, no, because he's still on the books of the Dolphins, but he's free to sign with another team. I'm actually semi-surprised that nobody's made an offer or shown interest in Emmanuel Ogbah. I haven't heard of any visits. We should point out while we're on that topic that Chase Claypool visited with the Seattle Seahawks on Tuesday, and which is why, and this is where you pointed out why are the Dolphins re-signing him? Because since they need somebody physical, clearly they have no interest in re-signing him.
Yeah, somebody hit me up and told me like, oh, they offered him a contract in December and he didn't take it. I'm like, probably like a minimum base contract, but mind you, and I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's the truth and what's not the truth in the wonderful world of everybody's got sources. It's funny that he on paper would be the ideal player that they're missing. However, they're not interested. And
it's because they're not playing on paper.
Yeah. And I think having had him for 2-3 months, and seeing maybe these aren't necessarily the most precise routes, or maybe his learning skills, and and of course Mike McDaniel said nothing but glowing pleasantries and wonderful things. Sure. But the fact that he couldn't help the team last year when they were desert thirsty at wide receiver is a huge indicator that, hey, maybe this isn't for him. Now, at one point, he was a very talented, young, promising player, and that sometimes the politics of the game get to you, but then sometimes it is just you.
Traded 3 teams in 4 years. Maybe it's him.
Yeah, sometimes it is just you. Yeah. So we'll see.
Hunter Renfrow, wide receiver, former last of the Raiders. You're not a fan.
I mean, I like him, but how many slot receivers? We got a whole team of slot receivers. Whole team. Waddle.
Says the guy who wants to add Jarvis Landry.
Different level of slot receiver. Jarvis is different than all them dudes. Don't play like you don't.
Yeah, Renfro's got a little bit of dog in him. Not like he's not like a bulldog like Jarvis is, but he's
got a little bit of Chihuahua in him. Come on, man. Dog. Stop it. Stop it, Chihuahua.
So rude.
Little Barker.
Safety Justin Simmons.
Love it. Love it. Don't see how it fits, but sign me up. Hell, I'd make Javon Holland a nickel cornerback. Like, I don't care.
Maybe 15 mil last year.
He's not going to make 15 mil, but I wouldn't be getting out of bed for less than 8 if I were him. I am shocked and stunned that he's not signed by somebody by now.
He's 31 years old. His metrics were not great last year. Passer rating. Sorry?
The whole Denver defense sucked. Yeah, I said it.
No, it did for certain parts. It got a little bit better like halfway through the season. Then it went like this, and then a little bit like that, then it went back like this. The right price.
I don't know how he's in my mind. He is the top free agent still out there that's still available, and I've seen it happen so many times throughout my career where depth at a draft at a specific spot sort of clogs up the free agent class and drives the price down. And in my opinion, that's what happened to the safety spot, with the exception of Kyle Duggars, who got a ridiculous.
Yeah, but they extended a qualifying offer to him as an RFA anyway. But no, you're right about the safety market. That Jamal Adams we mentioned,
Quandre Diggs,
Simmons, Eddie Jackson, Micah Hyde still out there.
Quandre Diggs. Yes. Yeah, it's a very, very, very talented crop of safeties that are out there. And I think safety, Safety happens to be my favorite position in this draft. I know everybody's telling you how talented and deep wide receiver is. The reason that I have safety a little bit better than wide receiver is because you might get a starter in day 3. You might get 4 or 5 NFL starters in day 3 in this draft class. And it's going to impact the free agent class. And it has. Jordan Whitehead, Kareem Curl, Julian Blackman.
No, he re-signed with the Colts. He's not available anymore.
Really? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Quandre Diggs, a lot of, Micah Hyde is old. John Johnson.
A lot of them are old, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's 31. Justin Simmons is 31. I mean, old in football terms, obviously.
Oh, obviously old in football terms.
And okay, couple more here before we wrap this up. Laken Tomlinson, guard with the Jets, formerly with the 49ers.
I am told by my Jets guy who produces for the Joe Rose show, he's washed. Now, could it make sense on a minimum-based contract that brings him to training camp and see how it plays out? I heard he did not play well with the Jets, but who did play well with the Jets in their situation?
Excellent point.
Yeah. So I'd say let's do it. There's also Andrew Pete from New Orleans. He's younger, 28. I considered him for my list. And then I also have a center on my list. You got to read the story to find the name.
Tyler Boyd, yay or nay?
Depends on the price. I don't.
That's the thing. For everybody, it depends on the price.
Yeah. I really want a different type of receiver. I do. I want a guy who brings toughness as the number one trait. I want a guy who can help me in the red zone and goal line. And I just don't see that in Tyler Boyd. But I'm okay with it if it's done.
Here's an interesting name. I know it's a good friend of yours, Patrick Peterson.
Absolutely. Sign me up. Where do I sign?
Shocker, you would say that.
34 years old. One, and let me make my case. Allow me to make my case. Even at 34, he's still a great player. Not great. He's still a good player.
Yeah, simmer down.
One of the best athletes. No, I'm sorry. The best athlete that I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, at 19 years old. That's all great.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, they all age, but
no, correct. You're not getting Pat. You're not getting.
I've seen Andre Johnson, Santana Moss, Cameron Wake, Brent Grimes. When I'm talking about the Hall of Fame athletes, like Tyreek Hill, I would say maybe I would put Tyreek Hill over him at this point, because what Tyreek can do is I've never seen anything like it. It's ridiculous. But yes, I'm talking about a 17, 18, 19-year-old Patrick Peterson, who I thought when I saw him at that time playing for Ely High, I thought to myself, this guy can start for the Dolphins right this minute. And at that time, they had Travis Daniels as a starting cornerback. And there was no doubt in my mind that he was better than Travis Daniels.
Travis Daniels, who was day-to-day, according to Nick Saban, with an ankle injury and wound up missing 4 weeks or 2 months as day-to-day. Fun times. Passer rating against last year for Patrick Peterson was 91.5. Folks I talked to in Pittsburgh were like, he's still okay, but not again. Father time catches up to every one of us. So let me see before we sign off here if there's another really good name out there.
Throw back in there. Tim Dobbins. Would you sign him? Yeah, nay?
J.K. Dobbins?
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, sorry. Not Tim.
Problem is, he'd be great to have, except how many running backs do you need? It's like I saw there's a big hullabaloo being made about the Louisville running back that they brought in for a 30 visit, as well as the I think it was the Marshall running back who led the NCAA in touchdowns last year. You made it a point to keep everybody you had from last year. Is there really spots available? Is it not wasting a roster spot? Oh, I'm going to end with this one because I have to. Jordan Phillips.
Absolutely. Jordan Phillips.
You would.
Absolutely. Jordan Phillips is better than everybody that they signed. Don't now you'd have to deal with a lot of Jordan Phillips stuff. And I don't want to get into that just because I don't want a 350-pound man looking for me on these streets. But Jordan Phillips could play. Now, does he want to play?
There's just a consistency issue. And then he probably is not going to be very expensive. He made $3 million last year. And he's 32 years old. But yeah, I think he's the problem is, again, how often does he show up is the question with Jordan Phillips. Always has been the question with Jordan Phillips. And he battled injuries last year. So but it would be, I would love it just for the comedic effect of the Omar Jordan Phillips reunion.
That guy. Oh boy. Remember when I took a victory lap when Gase finally had enough and cut him? I was like, yes, finally, he's gone.
No, and he was a second-round pick out of Oklahoma, and the book on him coming out was immense talent, like physically.
Tremendously lazy.
Questionable. Someone's going to say questionable motor, but okay, tremendously lazy.
Let's be real about it. Tremendously lazy. Okay, yeah. You say, yeah, you're right.
At Jordan. It's at
Jordan.
Omar Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's true. Your whole career, you've been lazy. Like, now you've had an excellent career.
There you go. On that note, I think that's going to wrap it up for today.
Yes, always a pleasure. We will see you tomorrow on the All Dolphins podcast. And then we're looking at doing a live.
Be on the lookout. We very well may be doing a live podcast tomorrow.
Yes, live tomorrow night, live podcast. We don't know the time. We're going to do a live podcast. You want to ask draft questions. It'll be our draft special, even though we're going to have some more draft specials before we get out, before we have this big influx of young, cheap labor. All right,
well,
folks.
Let me. Sorry, I did do this again. One final thing, because it involves a little news nugget. So the Dolphins will not open the 2024 season at Green Bay, which is on their schedule, because the Packers were announced today as the opponent for the Philadelphia Eagles for the game in Brazil on the Friday night of Week 1. So obviously they can't play two games in the same week. So the opener will not be at Green Bay.
Woohoo! All right. Thanks for those who care. Appreciate you guys, and we will see you tomorrow night for a live show.